Hey, welcome to episode number 90 of the Debt Free Dad podcast. So Ryan, Amber, and myself are all debt-free outside of our mortgages. But I've often been asked, Brad, or even you guys I'm sure have been asked, are you guys cheap? And what the heck do you spend your money on? And what did you cheap out on? And what types of things are you willing to splurge on? These are questions that I've gotten regularly after people have found out that I am debt-free. So today, Amber, Ryan, and myself are going to be sharing what items we are willing to cheap out on, and also what items that we're willing to splurge and spend a little coin on. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Debt Free Dad podcast, where we're helping normal, everyday people learn how to save money and kick debt so they can live a happier and stress-free life. Now here's your host, Debt Free Dad, Brad Nelson.
Hey, how is everyone doing today? You can find me on Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube, and Instagram. Just search Brad Nelson, Debt Free Dad, and welcome to today's show, guys. I'm excited about this one. I think this is going to be a fun episode. And, before, we get into some of this, what we cheap out and splurge on, I think, we should, at least for me, I want to set a little bit of the tone to a lot of this stuff. And it took me personally, and you guys may share your experience, it took me quite a while to kind of get a really good, comfortable relationship for needs versus wants. When I was broke, living paycheck to paycheck, in credit card debt, everything, I wanted everything. But you hear that saying nowadays, I want all of the things, right? And that was totally me. Like, I wanted it all. I didn't care. I didn't care how much it cost. Like, I put very little thought into what it was doing for my future. And so I just bought all the stuff. I really didn't have a good relationship with stuff. And for that reason, stuff owned me. But over the years, as I got on this journey to become debt-free, I really started to reevaluate the stuff that was in my life, the stuff that I was bringing in my life, the stuff that I was spending my hard-earned money on, especially the money that I was spending and working so much time to earn. And I really began to build a filter for a lot of the purchases that we now make. And because of that filter, it's very easy for me nowadays, now going into this a decade now of doing this kind of work on our finances, that it's very easy for me to have this filter of saying yes or no to things that I need versus want. Like, I can easily look at something and say, yeah, that's cool, and then I'm done. I don't need it, right? I don't feel the urge to buy nearly as much as I once used to. And I've also found that over the years, less stuff is also a lot less stress. So I don't know how you guys feel about this before we start talking about this, because I'm sure, some of the stuff that we're going to talk about here today about what we cheap out and splurge on is going to kind of go hand in hand with the way you guys have determined what's important, what are the priorities in your life, right?
Well, yeah. And I didn't grow up with a lot of like fancy things. And when I was getting into debt, I was buying some random stuff that was important to me. Well, I thought it was important to me. But it's like you said, my view on what I'm grabbing or what I'm buying or what I used to buy versus now is totally different.
Yeah. So what types of, like, when you got to be an adult and you went into debt, like, what types of stuff were you buying that was just kind of useless that you look back and are like, that was stupid, I shouldn't have done that? Is there anything?
I don't know if it was useless. Like, I was buying maybe some clothes, stuff like that, but like computers.
Okay.
On credit.
Yeah, right.
Did I need it? No, not at the time. Right. I just wanted it.
What about you, Ryan?
Well, I can tell some funny stories. I've probably said this on the pod. I feel like I said this on the podcast before. My wife would be here and laugh a lot. I was 100% a sucker for door-to-door salespeople. I think the one time I bought like $500 worth of frozen meat because it was such a good deal. It's like just stupid random things that was just like, yeah, it sounds like a great deal. I bought an alarm system from a guy one time. So it's like, yeah, we could use an alarm.
They all went back to their shop and were like, hey, go to this address.
Exactly. They 100% shared it on their network of which houses are easy. But yeah, I just, for me, and I've said this before, my spending was 100% a Band-Aid on like just how I was feeling. So it was just random stuff about just to like, I'm bored or I'm sad. I'm going to go buy something and I'm going to be happy. And that's how I medicated it.
Right. Yeah. All right. So let's kick it off, guys. So let's first talk about what are some things that we cheap out on. The first one I'm going to mention, and this is probably not going to shock too many people out there, but for me, clothing is something that I am willing to absolutely cheap out on. In fact, most of the clothes that you see me wear on this podcast probably came from like a Goodwill. Most of them. And in fact, it takes, and this is both for me and my wife. It's not just me. This is me and my wife. We are willing to wear things until like they're unwearable. And my wife is probably, this is just going to yell at me, but my wife is probably worse than me, where I'm like, okay, we need to take you to the store because the clothes you're wearing, like I've seen you wear that shirt about 12 times this month. You need to find another shirt to wear, at least one. So clothes for us have just become something that's just, I mean, obviously we don't wear rags, right? But it's just not a huge priority. Like I don't go to like the fancy clothes stores or anything like that. And now, there is a caveat to this we're going to get to is when it comes to jeans. I want to talk about that too, but I am willing to spend some money on jeans, and there's a reason for that. But clothes for me, yeah, easy one for me, just be like, meh, I'm willing to cheap out on those.
Yeah, so I would agree. Clothes for me, easy. Yeah, I mean, I guess now it's a splurge, but splurging is shoes, but used to be shoes. I used to like buy cheap shoes, but I guess as I've gotten older, I can't do that no more.
That's showing your age. That's it.
I'm rocking out with my cheap clothes in my
New Balance
sneakers.
Oh man, you're gonna be like Dad. I swear, guys, when we go visit my dad, he lives in Florida, and I swear, if we go into his garage, like he's got like 12 pairs of New Balance shoes. It is impressive, the collection that he has, and it's like, why do you need this many pairs of the same shoes that they're almost identical? They almost look all alike. Oh, it's so funny.
The other thing I think we cheap out on is, we do not think, I mean, I know we do, is just like home furnishings and stuff. Like we don't go and like, we'll buy like newer stuff, but I 100% will buy like something that looks really nice, but it's like one of those, put it together yourself kind of things.
Oh yeah.
I love the scratch and dent section in the stores.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I am not a big fan of like going to a store and spending, $3,000 on a sofa that I can pick the fabric. I'll buy it off some other website for $750 and
yeah,
I'm good with that.
Yeah. See, with furniture though, I'm more willing to spend a little bit, like furniture that you're going to sit on all the time. Mm-hmm. I'm more willing to spend a little bit more money there because I don't want it to fall apart, especially because I got 2 kids that like to jump on the furniture, and some of that cheaper stuff that we've had before just hasn't held up. But when it comes to like, like office chairs and things like that, or even like shelving, stuff like, yeah, I'm totally willing to cheap out on a lot of that stuff.
Oh, I would not cheap out on an office chair.
Really?
No, it needs to be comfortable.
Seriously, guys, the first couple of years, I think it was like 3 years I ran this business, I sat on a folding chair.
I know. I thought you were crazy.
You remember that?
Yeah.
It was like 3 years. That's what I sat on. And when I was doing this full time, I sat on a folding chair. And again, it just came down to that whole like willing to make sacrifices, and just that was just one of the things that just it just wasn't all that important to me. The other thing I cheap out on, or that we've cheaped out on too, is like name brand type food. Like we're willing to spend, not when it comes to like meat, like any sort of meat. Like I'm willing to like go to like a meat market or go to like a local butcher and buy quality meat, because I don't think some of the grocery stores have some decent stuff, but there are some that it's just like I would not buy that from there. But like, for instance, if you're here in the States, like we shop at Aldi. Like we're big, huge fans of Aldi here. My wife loves them. We also shop at just kind of like your local Kroger type store. But we typically try to stay away from like the name brand stuff. Now, there is something to be said for quality ingredients. There's no question about that. So
like I got to stop you. Like ketchup?
Yes, like ketchup.
Oh, thank
you
God.
are right. Yes, exactly. There are some things that you cannot sacrifice and go to a generic, because a lot of the stuff is the same, but there are some things where it's like It's not even close. We got to buy the real stuff.
Yeah. And I mean, so anything I could usually get at the dollar store, that's what I'm cheaping out on. If I can get it at the dollar store. But sometimes sometimes it comes back and bites me. I decided I'm buying a dog leash. I needed a new one outside. Paul goes, this says it's only up to like 45 pounds. I'll be fine.
Yeah, right.
My dog is about 65 pounds.
See ya.
He saw a squirrel. I was outside with him. He saw a squirrel. He ran towards the squirrel, got off the leash. I'm in a onesie. I'm tracking across the backyard. I find out there's a hole in the fence in the other neighbor's yard that I can't see. And now he's going in their yard, taking a dump. I got to come back in my onesie, pick up the... Anyways, that was when cheaping out did not work for me.
First of all, why are you running around in a onesie walking your dog?
I work from home. Doesn't everybody work in a onesie?
Oh, how amazing would that be to see you running around with a onesie on?
At least it wasn't the one with the tail on it.
Oh my God. Okay, so Amber doesn't cheap out on onesies.
No, I'm all for the onesies. I bought a nice expensive onesie not that long ago.
One of the other things that we cheap out on too is jewelry. Like I'm not like I wear none. In fact, this is so funny. Some people have asked me like they see on my podcast or like on a live meetup, they'll come ask me privately, be like, Brad, I know you're married. Why don't you wear a wedding ring? And this is funny. Both me and my wife have such cheap rings that they cause our fingers to itch, so we can't wear them. We can't even wear them. And we both kid each other like, maybe this is a sign our marriage sucks.
Just means you value more other things more.
Absolutely. So we cheaped out on jewelry. Maybe we should have saved the money on that because we can't even wear that stuff. Oh, it's so funny. What are some other ones you guys got?
So for me, I cheap out on, and now, but not before. Before, if the washer broke or something broke, I was going to get a new one. No, we got to call, we got to get a new one. Now I'm on YouTube. I'm looking how to fix the thing. Like right now, my fridge is leaking. I've told Paul exactly what I need, the steps I need to try and do to fix the fridge. And I'm doing it because I don't want to buy a new one.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's working. It's fine. It's just, there's water on the bottom of it.
I love YouTube for some of that stuff. Now, I do have in my Splurge, and I'll talk about this real quick. I do have in my Splurge, I've added hiring professional help when it's needed. because there is something to say that YouTube is not an end-all be-all for everything.
Oh, come on.
I'll give you two examples, all right? First of all, number one, we had to replace a chimney liner. I put a chimney liner in our house to exhaust our water heater. And I don't want to go into why this had to happen, but anyways, we needed a stainless steel chimney liner to go down and exhaust this water heater. And I did a ton of research online, and my uncle came over, we bought all the stuff, we put it in, and it went great. And in fact, it only cost us about $525, and we were quoted $1,500 to $2,000 for someone to come in and do it. So I saved a lot of money, and I was just like all the way up to it. I'm sweating. I'm like getting nervous. I'm like, it's all that emotional energy of, man, if this doesn't go right, this could cost me a lot of money. And it's just like, you just don't know. But it went in great. We had no issues with it. So I'm feeling good. I'm like, yeah, I could do this. I'll do DIY type stuff. I could do it all. Well, the next day we had to put in a hose bib on our house because the hose bib that was on the outside of our house was not put in properly. So I had to replace the hose bib. So I bought all the stuff, and we also had a couple of pipes that needed to be capped. Well, I'm not a plumber, but I'm a YouTube plumber. And I also have a plumber. I have a friend who's a plumber who's telling me all the stuff that I got to do, all right? So I get out my solder and my flux and all that stuff, and I'm soldering, and the first one I do, and it's great. I'm like, oh, yeah, this is going to be great. I'm going to do all of these. The second one I did, it was an absolute disaster. It was water everywhere. And I was like, at that point, it's like, I need to hire someone for this job. So I agree with you. There are certain things that you can do on YouTube and cheap out on, but there certainly are some things that you should hire a professional because it could end up costing you a lot more money and time in the long run.
Yeah, that's the thing. And a lot of the time it's the time, right? Like we were quoted, we just did our roof. We were quoted a certain amount and our family was like, why don't you just do it? I'm like, have you seen our roof? It's like this, like our roof has a really high peak. No, you could do it. And my husband's like, no, you guys, the work they did on this house, we would have been there for 3 weeks.
Yep.
Like no way were we able to do this roof at all. And that's another thing I won't cheap out on is customer service. I just won't. I went with a higher quote because of the customer service I got.
Yeah, that's important. Yeah, totally. Yeah, when it comes to, service and making sure you hire a reputable company, yeah, sometimes it's not, cheaper is not always better when it comes to some of those things. Some last things on my list. Obviously, I'll go through some of these real quick. Going out to eat and coffee out. We've talked about that one a lot. We did a no spend challenge on going out to eat 425 straight days. We have since started going back out to eat again, but we keep an eye on it. We keep it kind of low profile. Don't spend a ton of money on it. Another one is home, and you kind of mentioned this already, Brian, but more furnishing style, but like home decor, like kitchenware. Like it a long time ago, it was amazing to me. I would look in the cabinet, and this is like while we were getting out of debt, and you look in the cabinet and you've got like matching plates and small salad plates and bowls and cups. And it's like, we had 12 of everything. And I look at my wife and I'm like, when do we ever have this many people over that we need all of this kitchenware for, that we need all these plates and everything for? And, a lot of them were starting to get old. So some of them were starting to get chips. So, I don't think she'll ever forgive me for this, but when she went on a vacation one time, a work trip, I decided to get rid of all of them, but 4 of each. 4 of each. Because I was so tired of looking at them. They were taking up so much cabinet space. The stuff was just jam-packed in there. We never used it. And she never changed her mind because we just got new plates when we moved into our house because we had to, because the other ones we had were so chipped up from the sink, from washing them. We only bought a set of 4 because she's like, you know what? You were right. We only use 2 or 3, maybe 4 at a time, if that. And when we do have holidays, we just do, the paper chinette, the real fancy paper chinette. You don't have to do the dishes. You just throw that stuff away. So for us, we cheap out on that stuff. We don't have a lot of coffee mugs and cups, and we got rid of a lot of that stuff, and we don't repurchase it and bring it back in the house.
But don't you put it in your dishwasher and then it sits there? You need multiple. I could go 3 days with dirty dishes in my dishwasher. And keep doing dinner.
Well, that would be amazing if you own a dishwasher, which we don't.
Oh, well, I'm thinking I need to go buy an extra set of cutlery because I'm always running out because it's in my dishwasher.
Yeah, we don't own a dishwasher. We wash our dishes here. And that was the funny thing about what Sarah and I always said. When we buy our next house, we're going to have a dishwasher because it's so awesome. We buy the house, and the only thing it doesn't have is a dishwasher. I guess we're still not getting that dishwasher. So yeah, that's why we use paper plates for the holidays. Now during the week, when we're eating dinner and stuff, we'll use regular plates to save the cost of using paper. But for holidays and stuff, or if we got people coming over for things, yeah, it's paper all day because I'm not sitting in the kitchen doing all those dishes. Plus, we don't even have enough dishes to give everybody.
I would say for restaurants, we do not split. I would say occasionally, but for the most part, if we go out to eat, it's to the quick things, or we don't spend a lot of money on really nice restaurants, that sort of stuff. Typically, I really like to cook. I think I'm pretty good at it. And so most of the time when we go out to a really nice dinner, we're usually disappointed. So we usually don't end up at really nice places. We just kind of do run-of-the-mill average restaurants. For a special occasion, we might do something nice, but for the most part, it's, Chick-fil-A and that sort of thing.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, we found that too, especially after going back to going out to eat after not doing it for so long. The quality is just, there are some places that are good, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But a lot of the places, it's just for the money that you're paying, it's just, it can be a pretty disappointing experience. The only benefit of it is that we don't have any dishes to do when we get home.
Well, you don't have any anyways. You just use the paper plates.
That's right. So a couple of other ones we cheap out on. Obviously, we've talked about this on this show. Is we typically try to buy a lot of used items. In fact, just recently, bought a used riding lawnmower. Came with a snowblower attachment. This is a brand new if you were to buy this whole unit. would have been like $5,000, and we paid like $1,200 for this thing, and it was very well taken care of. So we saved a significant amount by buying used. Our campers we've bought used. Our cars we continue to buy used. So if I can buy used items, we just bought a trailer, like a utility type trailer, a small utility type trailer to bring leaves and stuff to the dump, and just having that again, I bought it used. So I think, a lot of people, I think one thing that financial freedom has taught me is just to be patient, and having money saved for a purchase gives you the opportunity to be patient. Whereas if you don't have any money, you feel inclined that I've got to make a quick decision because I just have to make this decision because it's become emotional, and I've got to replace my car that's not working. And well, when you're debt free and you've given yourself time, I think, to breathe a little bit and really think things through. And when we've been able to do that, we've been able to save a significant amount of money by buying and going towards used items. Some other things that we've done is obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, but for me, and not my wife, but this is for me, I am not like a big souvenirs on trips kind of guy. We're going to talk about splurges. We love to splurge and spend money on experiences. I am not one to sit at the souvenir shop and buy like mugs and t-shirts and shot glasses and all that kind of stuff. Like I don't need one single item from the trip except for the memories that it's created. But my wife, on the other hand, and this does cause some arguments, admittedly, she does like to buy the little trinkets and the little souvenirs here and there, or she'll bring souvenirs back for the kids when she goes on like a business trip. And that just frustrates me. I don't know why. I just need to get over it. But souvenirs is another one. And then last but not least, cheaping out on is cable and satellite TV. We do not pay for any of that in our house. We gave that up well over, 8 years now. And according to our calculations, I think, we got to be over $15,000, $16,000 saved in the last 8+ years that we've kicked all that. And we do have some cheaper, obviously, subscriptions like Netflix and things like that. But we definitely cheap out on cable and satellite type stuff. All right, let's talk a little bit about what we splurge on. So, guys, anyone want to go first?
Starbucks. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I like it, and tough. I have the money for it, and we don't have any debt, and it's one of the things that we like. I don't have it every day. Maybe, right. Maybe 2-3 times a week we go. But yep, I do it. And for a long time while we were getting out of debt, and even afterward, it was like, I shouldn't. You can, like, here's the reality for me. Like, we're out of debt. Everybody does things that we think are a waste of money.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
So you camp, in other people's eyes, that's a waste of money.
Yep.
I buy Starbucks, in other people's eyes, that's a waste of money. We all have our hobbies and interests. And I think that's just what I've had to come to peace with. So for me, Starbucks, and I don't feel guilty about it anymore because we like it. I get it. And they make a lot of money off us.
Yeah, absolutely. Along with drinks, is one for us is vodka. Like, I like to have cocktail, and we used to buy like the cheaper vodka, and then finally Sarah, for some reason, I don't know why she did it, but she ended up buying the higher quality vodka. I'm not going to name the brand names on the show, but and I was just like, wow, I can't believe the difference. It's so much better. And she's like, you know what? And she, just like you said, Ryan, she's like, we worked hard. We can afford it. We're not going back to the cheap vodka anymore.
That is it. No more cheap vodka.
No more cheap vodka. So we have the better vodka in the house now, and we're willing to splurge on that because, again, it's something that we enjoy, especially when we go to camp, and it's just not something that we're willing to cheap out on any longer. But there was a long time there where we were getting the cheap stuff because that's all we could afford. That's all we could afford to do. But yeah, I could totally relate to that.
For us, it's like we're splurging on different experiences, like concerts. We love concerts. If we can get to a concert, I don't care. I'm going to pay $100, $150 if I want to go see it.
Too. Expensive is relative because obviously for you it may not be expensive. But I was looking at tickets for some local concerts that were going to be here this past summer, and it was like $150 to $200 a ticket. I was pretty shocked.
It depends on the event, but yeah, for sure. And I'll spend it.
Yeah,
and that's because that's what we like to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Some things that we will splurge on and spend quite a bit of money on is we like education type stuff. So like right now, my wife and I are in a year or an annual leadership program. It's just 1 year. It's through a guy that we like, we follow. We've been following him for years that he put on this year, and it was expensive. It was a pretty penny to get into, but we didn't think twice about that, and we really discussed it because we wanted to take something together this year, and but it's been an awesome course and to be a part of that. But you're talking for some of these programs is thousands of dollars, and for us it's like we're going to spend money on that because not only is it helping us grow professionally, but it's also helping us grow personally, and it's also an area where the two of us get to spend some time together without our whiny cranky kids around all the time. So it's kind of like date night, so to speak, for us. But it's during the day. But we will definitely splurge on some of those things. As far as like material things, man, I am a huge fan of vacuum cleaners. I know this, I feel like Danny Tanner from Fuller House.
Wow, Brad.
Seriously, like Dyson vacuum cleaners, I love them. I absolutely love them. I own 3. I've got a handheld, I've got a wireless one, and then we've got one that plugs in. And you were like thinking, why do you need 3 vacuum cleaners? Who doesn't need 3 vacuum cleaners is the question. They all do a little bit of difference, something different, right? And no, admittedly, we've purchased these over time, but they've just lasted a long time. But the handheld one stays at our camper, and then the wireless one that we have is just kind of like a quick picker-upper one, and then the plug-in one is for like when you do your deep vacuuming, right? But these machines are awesome. Like I've never had any issues with them. They work, and I am willing to spend the money on having hassle-free vacuuming in my house.
So I have to admit, I just bought one.
Did you get a Dyson?
I was talking to you about them, and I went and splurged and I bought one. And let me tell you, I have these little carpet runners on my stairs because my dogs are nervous of the stairs, so they slide. And they've never been so fur-free.
Aren't they? Isn't it awesome? Did you get the pet one?
I got the pet one with the wand. That's a battery powered. Yeah.
It is so awesome. I love
Fabulous.
them. Yeah, absolutely love it.
This section of the podcast is sponsored by Tyson.
Yeah, as I mentioned, we're not going to name name the brand of the vodka. Dyson. Some other ones, tires. I don't cheap out on tires. There are people that do cheap out tires. I'm kind of like, that's like between me and the road. Like I'm going to buy some quality tires. So tires I don't cheap out on. I don't cheap out on shoes. Like if I'm going to buy, like I don't go super expensive. Like I'm not one to spend, I don't spend over $100 on shoes. So I guess for some people, it's like, that's not even really, splurging. But for me, spending, $50, $60, $70, $80 on a pair of shoes because I wear them out, that to me is a no-brainer. Especially same thing when it comes to jeans. When I mention clothes, I'm willing to spend some money on some jeans because I wear the hell out of them. And in fact, I need to buy a pair, and I was supposed to buy a pair like last winter, and I decided against it for some, I don't know why. I just didn't feel like going to buy them because I hate going shopping. I'm not a big fan of it. So I've prolonged it, but the pair of jeans that I have are literally hanging on by a thread. I've put patches in them to hold them together. It's really time to go get some jeans. But when I do, I'm willing to spend a little bit more money on them because I know that those are going to last. There's no question.
So yeah, I mean, other things that we now splurge on is vacations. So we've taken some nice vacations. We're planning kind of another nice vacation, probably at the end of next year. That's going to be fairly expensive, but, I'm definitely willing to forgo some other things in order to be able to make sure we can afford to do those sorts of things and have those experiences. Yeah.
Yeah. Vacations for us too. We do a lot of vacations, but I tell you, if it's sleeping somewhere, I'm going to try and find the least expensive. Like, if I'm just sleeping there, I need to find the least expensive place to sleep. Like I'm using Airbnb like crazy. I'm watching reviews. I won't go anywhere scummy, but like I will plan a whole trip and do Airbnb all over the place, especially for like moving a lot.
Yeah. You've always talked about that. Saved a lot of money that way.
Always. Yeah.
Yeah. And see, I think that kind of just goes back to how you are. Like there are people that I talk to that they're not even willing to step into an Airbnb, which is interesting.
I have had one bad experience.
Yeah.
And it was we just booked it last minute. I needed a place to sleep for 2 hours. Like that was it. But everything else has been fabulous, but you gotta be conscious and read the reviews.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We're the same way with experiences. I think for us, that's probably where we spend the most. Like camping for us is a big thing right now. I mean, our kids are at the perfect camping age. My daughter's going to be 3. Noah's going to be 12. For them, I mean, camping is life. I mean, it is so much fun for them to go. They meet so many kids. It gets them off the electronics. I mean, it's just, we just love it. And for us, obviously, for a family of 4, from a, money saving standpoint, For us, I mean, camping gives us the most bang for our buck, honestly. I mean, it allows us to go and do more things and get out of the house more often, as opposed to like saying taking 1 or 2 vacations a year. We're able to camp 6 months out of the year as much as we want. In fact, in 2020, we camped 90 nights. So it's 3 months we were at our camper, and I never would have been able to do that flying and going other places. So for us, at this place where we're at in the season of life where our family's at, camping is where it's at for us. That's where we're willing to spend some money. And obviously activities, for our kids, we're willing to spend money there. My son's in Taekwondo. He's in soccer. We're looking to start my daughter in swim classes and gymnastics and dance classes and things like that. So, but back in the day, when we were getting out of debt, we didn't really have the money for a lot of that stuff. So that's allowed us, obviously, to be able to spend some more money on those types of things. As far as, like tools, like for instance, when I started this podcast, I wanted to make it easy. So I bought a piece of equipment that was not cheap. And I was willing to invest in that because I knew that we were going to be doing these podcasts on a weekly basis. So I didn't want to buy something cheap and piecemeal it together and have it become a real pain in the butt to produce the show and put everything in place. So I've got this machine that's basically an all-in-one type thing. So you literally hit the buttons, it records everything, makes it super easy to edit. I mean, so I was willing to spend the money on that because it saves me time, and it also saves me money in the long run because of that time. When it comes to personal life, Blackstone, right? And talked about the Blackstone a lot. I love my Blackstones. I have 2 Blackstones. I have one in my camper, one in my house. And for me, the Blackstone is obviously not cheap, especially when you buy the accessories and things. We were willing to spend that money because, like we were talking about, when Ryan was talking about going out to eat, like we make good quality food at home. I mean, we like to cook. We enjoy that time together. We like to experiment and do different things. And we like to have good equipment to make that happen, and Blackstone's been fantastic. Sponsored.
What about mattresses, you guys? Because I will not cheap out on a mattress.
Oh yeah, that's another one.
No, I need a good mattress.
Yeah, that's another one. And Ryan, you just talked about it on the other podcasts, getting your mattress, right? You guys did cheap out on it, right?
Yeah.
No, we've cheaped out for the last 20 years on it.
Yeah.
So that we don't have to cheap out this time. Because what we've had is just, it needs to be replaced. So we 100% splurged, and, but again, I mean, the goal is to, it's going to last us for another 15 plus years. So,
right. Yeah, absolutely. And we did the same thing. We just replaced our mattress, 3 years ago? I think it was 3 years ago. Was one of the best things we ever did. And we spent the money, and man, is well worth the investment. Another thing, and I don't know how you guys feel about this. I don't think you guys are. I'm pretty sure you're not, but I'm a big Apple guy. Like I used to went to school for graphic design and worked in the design industry and the sign industry for 15 years, and I have grown up on Apple products. So like iPhones. I work on a MacBook Pro. I've got an iMac. My wife has a Mac. My son has a Mac. Obviously not brand new. These passed down to certain people, but I am an all Mac family, and some people say it's not worth the money. To me, it's worth the money. Like I absolutely love it, and I'm willing to spend the money on those types of things.
To me, the learning curve is not worth the money.
No, so you're Android, right? Android PC.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. There's been quite a few people who have said that to me, that I can't figure out how to. I'm like, how do you not know? Like, it's just so.
I had an iPhone. I lost all of my music. iTunes just made me really mad, and I never went back.
Yeah. Another one that we do too is like lawn and weed care. We got someone that comes to the house and does all that for us, because someone's like, well, you could save a lot of money and do it yourself, and I'm like, yeah, I could, but I just want somebody else to do it. Like, I just don't want to hassle with that. I got to buy a spreader, and then I got to make sure I'm not burning my grass and laying down the wrong amount. And it's like, it'd just be much easier just to have someone who knows what they're doing just come and take care of that. Same thing with a house cleaner. We've had a house cleaner, and we don't currently. And it wasn't because of money that we canceled it. It was actually because I know this sounds crazy. I actually enjoy the mindless work of house cleaning. Believe it or not, I love vacuum cleaners, right? But seriously, we had a house cleaner when my daughter was very young, and her first, it was actually right before she was born and through her first year. And it was just very helpful to have a house cleaner come in, because it was just one less thing that we had to really worry about, especially with a baby in the house, running 2 businesses from our house. So having a house cleaner was awesome. I had no problem spending the money on that. But after a while, I began to miss it, because it's like, some of the stuff that we do in this business, like creating these podcasts and stuff, it's a lot of creative work and putting this stuff together. And sometimes you just need a break. And sometimes doing like house cleaning and mindless work, it gives your mind that break to kind of come back fresh to doing some of the stuff that we're doing here. And I kind of missed it because I never really had that outlet to really do some other things. So house cleaning for us was, and some of that stuff was some stuff that we totally will splurge on.
Yeah, for me, the only other one I had is like, I have now been more splurging on my hobbies or hobbies that I'm interested in. And I think part of it is also just stage of life. You know, my kids are now getting older. We don't have as much financial responsibility as we once had. So there is money, but I just remember a lot of times it was always like, oh, I'd like to do this. And it's just always like, it's just so much money. So like one of the things I've gotten back into is like collecting trading cards, like football cards. I used to collect baseball cards when I was younger, and it's totally different now. I mean, really learned a lot about it. My kids started doing it, got me back into it. And it's just been awesome. You know, it's been an awesome, fun thing to kind of get back into a hobby like that and just be able to kind of splurge on that sort of thing.
Dork.
Oh, I'm telling you, man.
No, but
It's
for real,
cool.
like football card, like football or baseball? Football. Really? What's so different about it?
We can do a whole I mean, it's 100% just a completely different than when we were kids. I mean, it's just
so they gamified it
to some degree. Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's very but again, it's when you have the money to do that, it's fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Fun to be able to have that sort of experience. It's a hobby. It's not something where, you know, you're putting things on credit cards to buy something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. And you're absolutely right. And I think, you know, that's the point of today's show and why we want to talk about this. Cause again, you know, when people hear that, oh, you're debt free or that you got out of debt or you help people get out of debt or people already kind of assume that if I want to get out of debt, I can't live the life that I want, buy the things that I want. And that's just not true. In fact, in a lot of cases, you get to do more of what you want, especially as your cash flow improves, because you begin to build this filter of the things that you want to have in your life, the things that you would like to enjoy. And you begin to appreciate them a lot more too. So there's proof positive that all three of us are debt free and we're still loving life and buying the stuff that we want. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to come back with some celebrations. Stay tuned.
Hey, if you love planners, this is for you. But do you know why planners frustrate me? Because they only really get it half right. Now, sure, they're really good and fancy about helping you manage your time, which is really important, obviously. That's what a planner's for. But where they get it wrong is money, the second most valuable resource in our lives. Most planners don't include any financial planning, things like, you know, keeping track of paydays, bills, due dates, spending, yearly expenses, budgets, cash flow planning, debt elimination plans, and goal planning, right? None of that stuff. That's a real pain. And then what? Then you got to create your own in some silly binder, right? And who has time for all of that stuff? So instead, what happens? Nothing, right? A lot of people tend to ignore their finances even more, and things only get worse. Well, that all ends today because I am so excited to announce and release my brand new, totally awesome Debt Freedom Planner. This thing's awesome, by the way. Now, before you say, Brad, I've already got a planner. This is not an ordinary day planner. This is the Debt Freedom Planner, which is a companion tool that works with your day planner, and it's built to help you manage your money, pay off more debt, and melt away financial stress. And I believe this is the tool that a lot of people who want to take control of their finances have been waiting for. So head on over to therealdebtfreedad.com, click on the Debt Freedom Planner in the menu to get access to your planner today.
Hey, what's this I see? I thought this was a party! Let's
All right. That sound means it's time for the celebrations of the show. And today we're kicking it off with Nicole Perlotti. My wins so far: haven't eaten takeout since the beginning of this month. Meal planning and online shopping to stop impulse spending. Paid almost $1,000 towards my debt, which includes 6 collection accounts. I started payments on this week. And today, I decided to quit smoking, which will save me $10 a day. Nicole is crushing it. Those are some fantastic wins. Great job.
Don Hoover, I paid off a medical collection account, canceled Amazon Prime, saving me $119 a year.
That is amazing. Great job, Don.
Cindy Berman, $96 at Aldi's for a week of food for 5 people. Pretty excited about that. Attitude is definitely significantly improved since joining Roots, and money is my least concern at this moment.
That is amazing. Great win, Cindy. Congratulations to you. Shannon Liardi added $1,500 to her 6-month emergency fund. And if you remember Shannon, she was back on our show back in July, having saved and paid off over $200,000, is now completely debt-free and is working on that 6-month emergency fund. That is awesome. Great job, you guys.
Nadine McClurg, I avoided placing an order on things I didn't really need, even after they offered free shipping.
Heck yeah, staying strong. Love that.
And Shelly Terpstra, I have 1 of 2 credit cards at 0 balance.
Hey, thanks for hanging out with us here today. We love your feedback, and it also helps us grow our YouTube show. So please give us a like or leave us some honest feedback on this video. And if you want the latest from the show, obviously be sure to hit that notification bell and subscribe to our channel. And for the latest resources, or if you want more information on how to kick debt and financial stress, please be sure to check out the links in this video or head over to therealdebtfreedad.com. We'll see you guys on an upcoming show. Take care.